flood warnings are given to the states, but those flood warnings are ignored. The floods come with their devastation, the state governors ask for compensation, and the cycle repeats itself every year. Will 2022 be any different? My guest on the program is the Director General of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Engineer Clement Nze. And he tells me this year may be no different from last year as long as state governors continue ignoring the flood warnings. And as usual, we take you to Nigeria's seat of power with our Abuja wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa.
President Muhammadu Buhari received the Global Integrity and Anti-Corruption Award of Excellence from the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Examiners of Nigeria at the State House. In his acceptance remark, the president illuminated the importance of forensics and fraud examination in the fight against corruption.
The importance of forensic and fraud examination cannot be overemphasized in the fight against corruption. The need for forensic experts arises in educating, preventing, detecting, and prosecuting fraudsters, while fraud examination helps mitigate vices like embezzlement, money laundering, misuse, and mismanagement of public resources. Many Nigerians who are serious about eliminating corruption in our country will welcome this review of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy midwifed by the Federal Ministry of Justice and the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption in 2017 and supported by our international friends.
Also this week, President Buhari met with the executives of banking institutions in West Africa, where he charged them to intensify collaboration in order to tackle the economic challenges confronting the sub-region. In efforts to strengthen diplomatic ties between Nigeria and Ethiopia, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed visited Nigeria and the Joint Ministerial Commission was proposed. The president also hosted the Ethiopian leader alongside his wife to a presidential lunch.
The Ethiopian Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, has always taken Nigeria as one of his pillars in Africa. And you know, Nigeria has been a country that is so strong in stabilizing democracy, in the spirit of African brotherhood, and then seeking African solutions to African problems. They consult from time to time, and this is an icing on the cake. President Buhari has been at Addis Ababa a few times, so President Abiy thought it wise on his way out to Malabo for the humanitarian conference to see President Buhari and then to confer. The state of relations between Nigeria and Ethiopia is very warm, and we're working together. Especially, we'll soon be convening the Joint Ministerial Commission to discuss various areas of relationship which will be beneficial to both countries.
The president later departed the nation's capital to participate in the African Union Extraordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government in Malabo, the capital of Equatorial Guinea. The summit will focus on the humanitarian challenges in Africa, with related issues on migration, refugees, returnees, and internally displaced persons. Before leaving the country, the president had a brief closed-door meeting with the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Details of the meeting were not made public. To address the challenges facing children in Nigeria will require the urgent use of child-driven social interventions. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, made this suggestion at the launch of 3 reports by UNICEF on the situations faced by Nigerian children.
The federal government will continue to lead the charge, and our commitment and work in this regard will be all the more data-driven, helped along in no small way by the reports that are going to be presented today. There is a dire need to increase children-focused interventions, especially where challenges of insecurity persist, and we need every hand on deck. For many of these children, formal education remains an illusion. Skills are virtually non-existent. Many face exposure to physical and sexual abuse, exploitation, inhuman conditions, and vulnerability to criminal networks. with deteriorating security situations leading to food shortages, where children, of course, being the most vulnerable, suffer the most. Sustainable solutions to these challenges require an interplay between poverty reduction, the digital economy, health and employment, and a multi-stakeholder approach to tackling them. There are situations regarding the well-being of our children that can only be effectively dealt with at the level of caregiving and parenting, some at the level of community. And this is where we as Africans have been historically known to excel. And so our communities everywhere must rise to the challenge, because the survival of our children and our future, our continued existence as a people.
The Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the suit filed by President Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation, seeking an interpretation of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022.
You don't jump. When the decision comes, then you decide what to do with it. And in any event, don't forget the decision or the declaration that the president is seeking. It's not for his own personal interest. It's not contesting any election. So, and also, it is also for the future. It's both for the present and for the future. So, but when we get to that bridge, we will cross it.
The Supreme Court held a valedictory session for retiring Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Ejembi Eko. At the session, Justice Eko faulted state governors who determine who can become judicial officers in their state. He also expressed concern that the National Judicial Council is powerless in putting the state governors in check.
Appointing chief judges of the state high courts, the National Judicial Council appears to be a toothless bulldog. I was a victim myself in 2006. Governors seem to think that chief judge is part of their 15 cabinet. In appointing chief judges, the governor's primordial consideration is underscored by quote, the person I can work with.
Welcome back. Now let's get into today's feature story. We're looking at flooding in the FCT and the FCT's administration's attempt at being proactive before the floods get here around June, July, and August. We thank God for the rain. We pray for it. Farmers depend on it. The rain is our friend. But the rain comes with so much devastation, which, to be honest, can be avoided. In Nigeria, the rain brings fear to the hearts of many because of this devastation, a reality people must live with every year. We'll get to that shortly in our interview segment. But first, in 2020, 13 people died from the floods in Abuja, and over 400 people were displaced. The plan is to take that figure all the way down in 2022. The FCT administration is being proactive this year in managing the impact of floods. And as we show you in our feature story, houses built on floodplains at the Trademore Estate in Lugbe were demolished. Please watch this.
Gloomy faces and weary looks. Residents of Trademore Megacity Estate in Abuja look on as bulldozers from the Federal Capital Territory Administration take down structures built on flood paths. Some other residents make last-minute efforts to salvage their property.
After the rain, the last rain, heavy rain that fell, some areas were marked for demolition. That was right after the bridge to down to the police station. So these ones here were not affected. You understand? So even when my neighbor called me to say what is going on, because she's not around, she traveled out of the country, I assured her that her house was not marked, so she shouldn't worry. But suddenly this morning I was inside and then I started hearing noise. And I was wondering what was going on. Why is the noise coming from here? It should be down that way. Why is it here? Only for me to come out and I noticed that they are coming this way with the demolition. And I'm asking, what's going on? They said all the houses on this line will be demolished.
It has been marked for a while. Like when I knew they were very serious was 3 years ago, when the incident happened and cleared about 4 or 5 lives. And they came and marked it. So after then, every year it still continues. Right now, they started demolishing it, and I think it's for the best of the estate because I've been staying here for 10 years now, and every year, once it rains, the whole place will be flooded. Some houses will be filled with water. Even the one that happened last year, the police station was covered. The Trademore gate was covered to the top. Like there was, you wouldn't notice the gate. So I think after this, we pray it to be good.
I feel they should go and tackle the issue from wherever this water is coming from. Because if you demolish here now, what if the water expands and comes to this side? Will you become demolition everywhere? I don't think it's right. And these people are not even at home. And they're demolishing their houses. When do you want them to keep their things?
Flooding has become a major challenge for residents of the estate, and this has led to loss of lives and several properties damaged. One life was lost during a heavy rain in the area on Wednesday, August the 26th, 2020. On Sunday, September the 12th, 2021, 4 lives were lost after a heavy downpour. 26 cars were destroyed and 166 houses affected, prompting the demolition of these houses.
We are doing what we are doing here as part of measures to tackle flooding. The estate here, there is excessive development on the floodplain and the water corridor, and that has led to the death of some persons, and that is not very worrisome. I mean, this year we are having very early flood warning, very dangerous one here, and we came in here, met with the team here. We're engaging so much of engagement with stakeholders here, and we are removing the houses that are on the flood corridors.
While the residents are accusing the FCTA of being hasty in their actions, the team maintains that adequate notice was given to the residents.
The only thing I know is that houses were marked. The only notice that we know of was on Friday last week. We were called to the Development Control Office that we should come there for a meeting to proffer solution on a way out. Then after we've said one or two things on the way out, and we are meant to understand that the minister has given approval for houses to be demolished. What we learned is 21 houses, and from what we can see, the demolition is already ongoing, and what we learned was that they will be coming here on Friday, that's tomorrow. But right now, you can see the demolition is ongoing, and no one can say anything any longer.
For now, we are moving within 25 to 30, but there are several others, about 90 marked for demolition, which we are still engaging with the stakeholders, possibly to see what we can do. They have been marked long ago. If you ask those who live around Trademore, they have been marked 3-4 years ago. The last warning we gave them, 48 hours. The one we gave them, what about 3 years ago? It's still the same warning. Even when they were building it, we mark from the foundation. We mark at window level, mark at roofing level, mark when they packed in. We keep marking, and the one we now mark last was 48 hours, showing that we have been marking for several years. This is the last one we are coming for that. And even the 48 hours, we still give additional 24 hours before we now had to come.
However, the estate developer explains efforts to relocate residents whose houses are prone to flooding.
As developers, we agree that, look, if we find and identify houses that are really prone to flood zone, that we can relocate those people. And in fact, we relocated some of them to our other estates quietly. So the issue of compensation has not even arisen. Why will it even arise when there is no destruction? We undertook to relocate them to where we have estates. But then, if you are demolishing randomly, that's what they've done. You are doing random demolition. If you demolish over 200 houses, where do you think we have houses to relocate them? And these are houses that are under mortgage by Federal Mortgage Bank.
The FCT administration hopes that when the rains get heavier later in the year, this effort will reduce the impact on the lives of the residents in the area.
My guest on the program is Engineer Clement Nze, the Director General of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. He walks us through some of the challenges faced by the agency as it tries to help stop flooding across the country. And top on that list is the fact that many state governors ignore the flood warnings and do nothing to prepare for the floods. Engineer Nze, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Another year, and we have you here again.
Yes.
I was at the NEMA office the day the Director General was talking about the predictions, that basically the actions that states are supposed to take. And I remember listening to him, and he was being very, very careful. You know, they didn't really call out what particular states.
Yes.
You know, but when you started speaking,
yes,
you took your time to actually break it that you mentioned them.
Yes.
But before we get to that, let's talk about the flood predictions for 2022.
Yes.
What's the story this year?
The story this year doesn't look much different from previous year, say 2021. Reason is that there has not been a corresponding response to the prediction that have been made. I mean, the things we say as an agency that are likely to happen. Taking measures to counter what the prediction is saying. So it's like what we saw 2021 is more or less repeating itself in 2022.
So talk to us a bit about, you know, some of the flood-prone areas for 2022.
From our prediction for 2022, and then taking into account the different types of flooding that Nigeria experiences year in, year out. The major cities, like Lagos, now when you say Lagos, it's so broad. Talk like maybe area around Mushi in Lagos, Victoria Island. Let me just say, Lagos as a state, we have the details as per the local government areas.
Is Lagos going to be the worst hit this year?
Like I said, it depends on what action that have been taken.
Because yeah, we're going to get to that, because you know the subnationals have to do something to you know, mitigate the situation. But let's talk a bit. Let's say they didn't do anything.
Yes.
Where are some of the worst hit places if the subnationals don't take action?
Places like Maiduguri, Kano, Aba in Abia State. We mentioned Lagos already. Talk about Lokoja, Bayelsa, Rivers. Like I mentioned earlier, there are categories of, types of flooding that we experience in Nigeria. Most of the states within the boundaries of Rivers Niger and Benue, they are on red alert. We place them on red alert, like Kebbi, Niger, Lokoja, that's Kogi State, Adamawa, Taraba, Benue. And then before Rivers Niger and Benue meet in Lokoja and begin to move down to Delta, Anambra, Rivers, Bayelsa, and so on and so forth. So those are states that are contiguous to Rivers Niger and Benue. Because of heavy amount of rainfall that is coming from all these catchmen that will enter into these two rivers. Because Nigeria is drained by Rivers Niger and Benue. Whatever happens in many parts of the northern part of Nigeria, they will all move down to Rivers Niger and Benue, and then begin to move down eventually to the Niger Delta.
Over the years, you have complained about subnationals not taking the actions that they're supposed to take in situations like this. What are some of the things that they're supposed to do that they haven't been doing?
We expect, we've been watching the television for quite some weeks now, the heat of politics. We expect that when the states receive this information about weather, they should run with it. Cascade it down to the local government areas. Then from where the council can take it down, as it used to be in time past. I think it is mainly in Abuja that we see action. I think either this week or late last week, the Minister of FCT summoned a meeting of some stakeholders like FCT, Emergency Management Agency, Development Control, AEPB, maybe Engineering Services Department, and so on. They went to town. They were given a marching order, demolish any structure that is going to impede the free flow of flood or runoff. So what are things to be done, like your question says? Demolish structures that are within the flood plains or that are within certain range at the banks of the rivers. Don't be dumping refuse indiscriminately. There was one billboard I saw, maybe somebody as a governor. Where was it mounted? If you see a heap of rubbish, almost 50 or 100 meters, the distance, the length, rubbish, heaped over months, if not over a year. That's where somebody put a billboard on top. I don't know what the person canvassing for. Now, such things should be removed by government. You don't expect the FCT, at the federal level that is here in FCT, to begin to police the governors that are autonomous in their own state. There are 3 tiers of government in Nigeria. So at the federal level, government is doing the best it can.
So is it just refuse? Is it just refuse and
I've talked about building structures within the river banks, not doing proper floodplain mapping. We keep talking about Threadmore Estate, Sunday Dewisi Estate somewhere in Deide, that exists. Talking about Lokogoma. In fact, Lokogoma issue, after the motion that was done in 2020,
all that water moved.
2021, when that one was done, later people went and then put up some structures again.
Again in Lokogoma?
Yes, that's what happened. What happened, I think, last month or so, and early this month, the heavy flood that occurred. So before you build, you get an estate where you want to develop, build a number of houses.
Please, it's easy for us here.
No, yes, you should engage experts to tell you ab initio from the beginning. Please show me the road flood will pass.
We will continue to give flood predictions, and nothing will be done. People will still be making their money off of it. Maybe it's time to start thinking about ways that governments, state governments, can be compelled.
That's it.
To do it. That's maybe something. Maybe the agencies have to start thinking about ways to compel them.
Why can't even the one you make for yourself implement it? The laws are already existing in the states. Why can't they? Or okay, they want a policeman from outside to come and begin to police them in their domains and say, well, the new water bill that I built with the National Assembly, we are thinking of amending our own laws, the Act, establishing the Nigeria Agricultural Service Agency, so that there will be some powers conferred on it to be able to enforce certain things we predict. So I think it's there. But most importantly, let the states rise up to their responsibilities.
Well, that's where we have to wrap it up on the program, Engineer Nze. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja.
Thanks.
And good luck with all the work that you do.
Thank you. Good luck to Nigerians. Let's see what will happen this year, 2022.
Floods are inevitable, but its effects can be mitigated. All it takes is political will and matching words with action. It may be easier for leaders to do nothing and seek compensation when the devastation from flooding happens, but that's just wrong, and history will judge such leaders. However, there has to be some way of checking this behavior, and that should be looked at in the nearest future. As a people, we should seek to make our country better than we met it. So avoid building on floodplains, keep your gutters clean, and if you live in a flood-prone area, it's time to consider moving. That is Dateline Abuja this week. Please remember to let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Megwa. See you next time.